Alright, greetings and welcome back, gentles and ladiesmen, to episode 10? 10 or 11? I'm gonna go with 10. That's what my gut says. Episode 10 of Exo Plays Spyro 2 Ripto's Reclusion. In the last episode, we went to Scorch, and one of the worst levels in the game. Now we're here, one of the best levels in the game, in my opinion. The Earth Shapers from the other levels, from Fracture Hills, are back in a more expanded role. More interesting role, anyway. Basically, as you've noticed, every stage of this game always has that one central task that repeats over the course of the stage, and in this case, it is defeating the Earth Shapers using basically rock smashing equipment. And I believe there are gems over here, so we'll grab them real quick. By the way, the soundtrack, the musical track that plays here in Magma is phenomenal. It's one of my favorite tracks in Spyro 2. I have not praised the soundtrack enough in this playthrough so far. Part of that's because I could barely hear it because of the audio setup I've got going on right now, but it's a good musical track. And in terms of how the level is designed, I really enjoy how they sort of layer vertical platforming along here as well. This is a Spyro 1 moment, in terms of you gotta think outside the box and, oh, maybe if I go back this way, I get those gems on the upper ledge I saw earlier, Not as intricate as something from Spyro 1, but still, it's making you think outside the box a little bit and think about the 3D game design of the stage and whatnot. I wish I didn't have to jump downwards to grab those gems, but whatever, I'll take it. And yeah, we got everything up there, so we can head back over to the ladders. And then this is really, in terms of the ladders in Spyro 2, this is the most intricate it ever gets. Like I remember saying, and sure you remember this, it's not one of the breadcrumbs I've been dropping, but it is still something I mentioned. I mentioned that the ladder doesn't get much use except for one level, and Magma is that level. It actually utilizes the ladder climbing mechanic the most of any stage in the game, and because of that, it kind of stands out, and it's clever. Like, this first chunk of the stage is built around the volcano in the center, which has some, ladders around it that you have to use to get up to other parts of the stage, and eventually get on top of the volcano so you can get to the next chunk of the stage. And it's a clever structure for a stage. It stands out amongst all the levels in Spyro 2. This level, I don't know, I guess it has one minigame I'll probably have some choice words about, but the other minigame is pretty good. And the stage itself doesn't go on too long like Zephyr did, so I say that Magma ranks up there with one of the best levels in the game, in my opinion. Certainly it's a lot better than any other stage we've played in Autumn Plains so far, so yeah, I mean, sure would be nice if the Earth Shapers had something to do with Ripto, but I'll take what I can get. I know, at least in terms of, this is probably one of the cases where the silliness in Spyro 2 kind of hits a good stride. Gets a good reaction, you know what I'm saying? Seeing all the cartoon ways that cartoon violence ways that they try to get rid of the Earth Shapers is amusing. Like, they got the big wrecking ball and the jackhammer and just throwing a big molten rock. And of course, this is pretty interesting kind of platforming here. Wish there was more of it. Even Spyro 3 doesn't really do much with it after this either, so probably the most use the ladder climb mechanic ever gets. So, this is a good level. I mean, I've had little niggles, little nitpicks here and there about some of the other levels so far, but I think on the whole, Magma is very well designed and very enjoyable to play. Anyways, here's the worst part of the stage. Not this little alcove, but what's underneath it. And even then, it's not so bad or anything. As you can see, Hunter's here, and whenever Hunter's around, that means we've got some kind of sports challenge to play with him. Something that'd be on the Ocho.
Spyro, check out this cool cave I found. Let's play a little game. Every so often, a piece of this crystal popcorn pops out of the ground. The first one to grab 10 of them wins. I'm ready when you are.
So this is another case. It's just like the Lava Lizard minigame, exactly like that. The first stage is really easy, and I don't know, you'd be hard-pressed to lose it. Maybe if you're playing it for the first time, you might fuck up once. But, you know, good luck with that. You'd have to be Alec Alger, the side quest gamer, to lose this. No offense, Alec. If you're watching this, which I know you are, because my boring Let's Plays are the best things ever. But basically, you just go around to these little points and grab the crystal popcorn before Hunter can do it.
You win. Here's an orb.
Like I said, the first round is really easy. Good luck losing that. If you just need another orb to fight the final boss, it's fine.
I'll give you another orb if you can beat me again. Let's play to 15 this time. What do you say? I'm ready when you are.
Now this is the harder round. And I know at least in the first few playthroughs of Spyro 2, I've had issues with this. Here's my big criticism of this minigame. I think conceptually it's fine. It's a fun little mechanical challenge. Just try to... It reminds me a lot of, you know, the minigame in Bubble Gloop Swamp and Banjo-Kazooie 1, where you gotta eat the red and yellow munchlies before Mr. Vile does, as Crocodile Banjo. It reminds me a lot of that. The idea of it is very similar. You're competing for points against another player. You know, it's got some decent challenge in it. Here's the problem. Like, if you compare this to the Mr. Vile minigame, in the Mr. Vile minigame, you could see the entire playing field at once. You could see where your opponent was at all times, and it made it significantly more fair to play because of it. For some reason in this Crystal Popcorn minigame, you're not allowed to see Hunter at all, or rather, you just have the same old camera angle again. Much like with hockey.
You're really good. I'm going to have to come up with some harder games. For now, take this orb. I guess you earned it.
It's kind of like, it's like the hockey game, like Lava Lizards. You wish you had an overhead camera angle like the Turtle Soup minigame, so that you could see the entire cave at once, know where Hunter is, and then you could probably play to a higher score like 25 just fine. And it would be, a pretty decent challenge, and wouldn't go on that long. And it would be, like the Mr. Vile minigame is much more fun to play, because you can see what you're doing the whole time, and because the minigame itself is more challenging. So that's, it's just another example of, the camera being a detriment to some of these minigames. That's another theme I've been building on throughout this playthrough. The Crystal Popcorn minigame, you will beat it. It is not like the Beetle Race from DK64 where it will derail your 100% aspirations. But it is still, I still can think of ways to make it better, is the point.
Well, if it isn't my best customer, the elevator in the next room can take you to the volcano. You can have unlimited use of the elevator for a one-time fee of only a few gems. It's a pleasure doing business with you. Simply step on the elevator and it will take you to the bottom. When you want to come back up, just step on it again.
Alright, so here it's basically what Moneybag said. It's just a progression gate. But I don't know. I don't think I'm a completionist type, so I'll never run into this problem anyway, but I don't think I've ever not had enough gems to pass in Moneybag's gate. Besides the swimming at the beginning of the game, when you barely have any gems from other levels, Even then you can go to Colossus first and whatnot, so... I don't know why I went out of my way to grab that, because we don't have any use for it at this time. Okay, so this is probably the most interesting part of the stage, platforming-wise. Ladders are back. We have to climb to the top of this volcano and close the lid. Yes, there's a lid. And I'm just saying, it would be, in terms of building up the game to the final boss, it would have been a lot more interesting if Ripto had opened the volcano. Dropping another breadcrumb. You guys know why I think this game should have been called Gateway to Avalar, or Ripto's Reclusion, whichever, take your pick. It's kind of we'll talk about that later. We'll have plenty of time to do that in the third session when we're playing the last chunk of stages. Talk about how I've talked about the story in more depth, but for now, that was a fun little platforming section with the ladders.
Thanks for closing the lid on the volcano, Spyro. Things were getting a little too hot around here. By the way, here's a talisman I was saving for the party later. I think you deserve it more.
And there's the talisman. It's a big Lava lamp? I'm not sure what that thing is. Let's see what it's called. All the talismans have names, actually. Volcano Idol. Alright. It's like far, far away Idol from Shrek, except it's Volcano. Anyways, you can see that guy down over there. There's our next orb for the stage. The third orb, rather.
Spyro, you're just in time for the party. Well, you would be if those nasty lava monsters hadn't stolen our hits. It just won't be the same without party hits.
Now this minigame, this side quest, whatever the hell you want to call it, is actually pretty good. Basically, and it's a nice little mechanical challenge, and you know, anything that gives us an excuse to use our super flight is fine by me. Basically what we gotta do is we gotta grab these things and kill the lava monsters with them while flying around. Did Sparks die? I think Sparks is dead. We'll kill this guy real quick to bring him back. And, you know, this can be really efficient or not so efficient depending on how you know, the order you do it and how well you can... The route you take is the point of that. Takes care of that. We'll kill the last guy down here at the bottom. Guess there are a couple guys down here at the bottom, but, you know, whatever. Just like on the weekends with me. Couple guys on the bottom. Whatever. It's not working. These sex jokes, they just don't work for my style. I'm too deadpan for it, god damn it. I'll kill this guy, get another water, and we'll rise our way back up. No, there's another yellow gem down there, we'll grab him later. Yeah, but as you can see, what you see is what you get, and I'm paranoid now that I missed something. Okay, yeah, Fracture Hills is the only one that should be less than 100%. Yeah, so you gotta grab the little stones and shoot them at the guys, and it's a nice little challenge. I don't have anything. If they hit you with the party favors, you don't die. And, oh my god, I can't believe I haven't mentioned this yet at all. You might have noticed that, Sparks will actually... You know, because, like, when you play any other collectathon game, you have to literally walk into whatever it is that you're trying to collect. Spyro is nice in that, Sparks will actually pick up stuff for you if you get close enough. It's just nice. Because, you know, you still feel like you did the work of collecting something, but it takes out the, you know, kind of the needless busy work of actually having to walk into it. I feel like an asshole explaining this, but it's... If you've played this game, you know what I'm saying. You know how satisfying it is to have Sparks grab the stuff for you. It's a nice little feature, and I wish other collectathon games had that, you know, where it's... Actually, I think Kingdom Hearts kind of does it, where, like, when you get close enough to the orbs, you just automatically pick them up instead of having to, you know, walk into them necessarily. And then there's the Ratchet and Clank has the boat grabber power-up. You know, it's always satisfying when you get power-ups like that. I just don't know how to explain it. You know, it's just one of those things I like about Spyro. I don't know what else to say about it. Anyway, that takes care of him.
Thanks, Spyro. You saved the party. Here, this got mixed in with the cheese balls, and I almost chipped a tooth on it.
There's our orb. That should take care of the stage. Yeah, there is no, cheat points? I'm gonna say cheat points, skill points. That guy just killed a man. And, I don't know, did you guys laugh at that cutscene? I didn't laugh at that cutscene. It feels like a Conquer cutscene, but without the teeth. Feels like those cutscenes just feel so out of place. I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to play that. Let's go play the Speedway first, then we'll come back to the worst level in the game. But... yeah, over here, and we probably have 2 more parts left in us. Or at least 1 part after this is what I mean. So, because we only have 3 hub worlds, that means we have 2 speedways in Autumn Plains. I can't be the only one who feels like there was supposed to be a 4th hub world in this game, but, you know, regardless. I recommend taking out the guys, the first round of guys this way. It is the faster way to go about it, and, what did I do? Okay. Yeah, then go for the gates. That's the fast route to do it. And, you know, worst case scenario, I fuck up and end up having to do it another time to get the skill point. I do feel like, as, you know, I've complained about the skill points being obscure and all that, but I feel like these are pretty intuitive. Like, these and the boss ones. And, you know, the idea of skill points is it's supposed to be like little challenges you do. And yet most of them are just flaming a bunch of stuff or knowing about a little weird secret. They're not actually challenges. They're not like, you know, like a trophy that you'd find in like Ratchet and Clank. It's like beat the game without getting hit or something like that. You know, like that's like a challenge that would be in like a Shovel Knight feat. It's not like that. It's just more like random little tasks that the game arbitrarily decided were important enough to be worth the skill point. I don't know. It's weird, man. I guess I did it fast enough to get the butterfly skill point. So we've gotten all the gems in the stage. Now we're gonna go for the Hunter challenge. Hopefully I can do it faster than I did it in the last run of this world. I spent way too long in the stage in the previous session, and I died. I somehow managed to die there. Let's try this again. Alright, so you can see that igloo over there. So basically what you gotta do, Hunter's in the igloo. You just break it and then talk to him.
Spyro. Looks like you're ready for a more serious challenge. How about a little paragliding? You're not afraid of heights, are you? Great! I'll tow you behind my snowmobile and you maneuver through the rings. Don't miss any or we'll have to start over.
Alright, so this is as basic as it looks. All you have to do is steer Spyro through the rings. Lots of go through the ring missions with Hunter and Spyro too. I mean, like, technically the second one in Metro Speedway didn't have you go through the rings, but you're basically doing the same thing you were doing in the first minigame, except now you have to grab the bags before they hit the ground. This is fine. It's basically all you just fly through the rings. It's a little mechanical challenge, and it is a challenge, so it feels worthwhile and rewarding for doing it. You know, you have to pay attention to where things are in 3D space. I don't have anything against this minigame. I think it's fun enough, even if it is pretty easy. Like the challenging parts are always when there's a ring in the middle, but after a certain point they stop doing that.
Spyro, you're even better than I am.
And that's it. It's pretty easy, but you know, I've had practice, so you know, fine minigame. Won't complain about that one. That's for a change of pace. And now that we've done that, we can leave the stage, so we'll do that real quick. And looks like I've still got a few minutes left before the part ends, so I guess we'll end up starting Shady Oasis after all. Go do that real quick. And yeah. So, Shady Oasis is the worst level in Spyro 2. And if you can think of a worse one, then I'd like to hear it. I don't really know, like, because everybody seems to like every level in this game. But I can say I hate Fractured Hills, and I hate Shady Oasis. They are the worst levels in the trilogy, easily. I'd much rather play any level from Spyro 1 or Spyro 3, or most of the other levels in Spyro 2 than play those, so they're the worst. So, Shady Oasis, like I say it's the worst one, but obviously that's relatively speaking. Like, no level in any of the original trilogy games are outright terrible.
Spyro, it's a good thing you're here. I've been trying to get a berry out of this magic berry bush, but I'm just not strong enough. If you charge or flame the bush, one of those yummy berries should drop.
So here's the problem with this level, though, is much like... God, what the hell is it called? Much like Fracture Hills, This level has a problem with you need... Sorry. Much like with Fractured Hills, you need the head bash to fully complete it. Doesn't sound so bad, but as you can see, let's see if I can show it off now. For God's sake. So you can see that there's a head bash chest up there. Basically, it's like a chest with a little target on it, and you have to head bash it to break it open and get the gems inside. But we do not have the head bash, so we can't get that. Okay, well that doesn't sound so bad, right? Well, actually, there's an orb in this stage that requires the head bash as well. And it also requires the power-up gate. So that means, and the problem is, this level is actually really linear. It's one of the most linear levels in the entire game. And by the way, we didn't need a second desert level in this game, by the way. We already had, I don't know if this even counts as a desert level, but it has a similar, you know, kind of Arabian Nights kind of aesthetic to it, just like Scorch did. We didn't need a second one of these, but, you know. It basically means that because this level is so linear, and because, you know, you kind of have to beat all the enemies just to get through it normally, it means that the fact that you have to backtrack to the stage, because, you know, obviously, we can't get to the next hub world to get the head bash until we get all the talismans to fight the boss, and we can't get all the talismans to fight the boss until we get the talisman from Shady Oasis. So no matter what, you're forced to run through this entire linear stage at least once, with just to get the talisman, but since you have to kill all the enemies along the way because they just happen to be in the way, it means that you have to come back to this level and replay the entire thing a second time after you already have the head bash in order to fully complete the stage. There's no way around it. I don't know how the, you know, like I said, I believe that you probably could use the double jump to cheese those ladder sections from the earlier part of the game, but there's no way around it. You need the head bash to beat this level. There's no amount of double jump is going to fix that. And like I said, if you're just going for the talisman, if you just need that 1 or 2 orbs here and there to beat the final boss and you're not fully completing the game, this level's fine. On its own, like, it feels like a Spyro 1 level, actually, just in terms of structure. It feels, you know, like the big kind of linear passage with trickier enemies that you gotta fight, and, you know, then when you get to the end, it's the end. If this were a Spyro 1 level, this would be great, because, you know, if there were no mini-games and whatnot, and you just play it like normal. This level's fine in that sense, but, you know, it's much like Zephyr and Scorch, it's very backtracky, too. And it's like, the reason why I think this level's worse than Fractured Hills is at least because of the way Fractured Hills is structured, you can just go around in the upper level and free the satyrs and just grab the talisman and then come back and do the rest of the more annoying stuff with the where you actually need the power-up gate later. With this level, no, the power-up gate is at the very end. You have to kill all the enemy. I'm not even sure how many enemies you need to kill, but basically because the power-up gate wears off after you leave the stage, you have to kill a good chunk of the enemies again. You have to play this level twice, there's no way around it, and I find that really annoying. It's one thing to have the glimmer thing where you go back to go up one ladder and grab a few gems and light a couple lamps, and it takes 2 minutes. That's fine. It's another thing to make me replay the entire level. There's no way around it. That's just how the level is structured. You can't escape it. And so, folks at home, I've been talking pretty extensively about backtracking for a while now in these parts. And I'd be interested to know your thoughts, especially from people who have replayed this game multiple times, which I know many of you have. What do you think that the backtracking, because clearly this was a deliberate choice on Insomniac's part to include that in these stages. What does it improve or add? And I'd like to remind the folks at home that Banjo-Kazooie only had backtracking within stages. You could unlock, you know, the first one did. You unlocked whatever moves you needed to clear that stage within that stage.
Spyro, 3 thieves have stolen our magical brass lamps. Please get the lamps before they take them away from Shady Oasis.
So, what does being forced to come back here a second time with the head bash and replay the entire stage, what does that add to the overall Spyro 2 experience? My personal answer to that is that it doesn't add anything, but I'd be interested to know your thoughts. And of course it's true that Spyro 3 has backtracking as well. In fact, even more than I remember actually. But I think the big difference between this game and that game is that the way that levels like Shady Oasis are structured, and the fact that you have to reactivate portals with spirit particles every time you revisit, makes the backtracking so much more annoying than in Spyro 3, where you can literally just walk to the portal you need and then be done with it. But I digress. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that later. I'll see you guys in the next part. Until then, I'm Exo, and I'll see you guys next time.